Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon from wherever you guys have joined us. My name is Ria Makwana. I am admissions manager at Ganberry. Along with me today, we have a very exciting podcast. So let's get started. Once again, welcome to the Future Doctor podcast with Universita Cattolica. I am joined by Miss Ariana Malavasi. She is regional manager for Asia, MENA, and Africa from Universita Cattolica, which is, of course, one of the prestigious universities in Italy. So, welcome, Miss Ariana. If you would like to say a few words for our
Thank
students.
you, Ria. I'm happy to be with you. We have been working as Cattolica, like with Giambari, for many, many years. I know a lot of you students. We invited one of you students to join us for a webinar we recorded, let's say, in-house last December, Kashif. That was one of the students consulted in the past by Gambari, is now part of the Indian Students Board and to our medical school. So I'm really, really glad to be here with you today and to talk to our medical doctors about Cattolica, about Italy, the Rome campus, the Bolzano campus. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So we'll dive into the questions. Students have sent us a lot of questions, and we have tried to consolidate them. And so I will be taking a few questions from our students. To begin with, if you could briefly introduce University of Cattolica, where it is located, to all the students who are new, old to this podcast, it will be an honor to know.
Sure. I've been working with Cattolica for 10 years now. Cattolica is a very big university. The full name of the university will be Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore. It's a prestigious Italian university. I dare saying an Ivy League university in Italy. So if you talk to people on the street and you tell them, "Oh, I'm studying at Cattolica," in Italian you would say alla Cattolica, or you will see them saying, "Oh, wow," because that's considered really an Ivy League university here in the country. We are renowned not just for our medical school, but for our comprehensive offer, because we have a national dimension, 5 campuses across the country, 12 schools. So yes, we teach medicine and surgery, but we also teach economics, we teach finance, we teach communication, psychology, we teach data science, management, international relations, and more. I'm sure I forgot a few of our programs and courses. I told you we have a national dimension. We are a big university, about 40,000 students and 5 campuses spread across the country. What you see here as a background is our campus of Rome, but I'm actually based in Milan, where we have the oldest campus. We have a campus in Brescia, campuses in Piacenza, Cremona, fully dedicated to agricultural and food sciences. So there we teach agricultural and food economics, food production management, viticulture and enology. And we have our Rome campus, and the School of Medicine and Surgery is primarily based at the Rome campus. So here we teach medicine and surgery, the 6 years program, healthcare management, and we also have a program in medicine and surgery which is taught in Bolzano, which is in the very northeast part of Italy in a region called South Tyrol. And yeah, the School of Medicine and Surgery, I was telling you, is primarily based here. It's primarily based here in Rome. It's a huge campus with a big school with a hospital on campus. Because maybe we'll cover this later. I don't want to do any spoiler, but the office we work with, we are affiliated
Yeah.
with, is located here on campus.
That was exactly my next question. That if you could also let us know on the infrastructural facilities at Rome as well as Bolzano campus for our students.
Yeah, I told you 2 campuses for medicine and surgery. Here in Rome, I say here because I see myself in Rome from the picture. We started teaching medicine in the 60s. So the school was opened in 1961, which means we have a lot of experience in teaching medicine and surgery to students, more than 60 years. And already 11 years ago, we opened the English Top Medicine and Surgery program in Rome. We opened the English Top Medicine and Surgery program in English taught in Bolzano last year. So we just welcomed the first group of students in September 2024. And very, very important, the students both in Rome and Bolzano will like take their clinical years, so year 4, 5, and 6 in Rome at Policlinico Gemelli University Hospital, and in Bolzano at the Claudiana Healthcare Center and other hospital in the South Tyrol region. Policlinico Gemelli is the affiliated hospital of Cattolica, is located on campus here in Rome. So we basically live together, we coexist, the university and the hospital, and it's really important for the students because that means that they have access to state-of-the-art facilities and to everything the hospital has to offer during the last 3 years of their education here at Cattolica. It's a big hospital, 1,500 beds. I believe it's the second largest hospital in the country, and it's a top hospital worldwide. A top 1 in Italy and top 35 worldwide, according to the American magazine Newsweek. And we are 20 positions ahead compared to the second hospital in Italy, which is Niguarda. And the School of Medicine is an incredibly strong one, top 200 globally, according to QS. So this is just to give you an idea of the environment the medical students will live in if they decide to study at Cattolica.
Wow, that's great. I'm sure this is going to fascinate all the students, to immediately join. So if you could also let us know what would be an advantage or a disadvantage if a student joins Rome campus instead of Bolzano or vice versa. Any difference, in terms of teaching or in terms of facilities or any other ways?
Sure, I would not probably frame this in terms of advantages or disadvantages, but it's more about what is the best fit for students and also timeline and language of instruction. That's for sure. Rome is a huge campus. In Rome, you have football fields. I think we have a couple. We have off-campus and on-campus dorms, while in Bolzano, the majority are off-campus dorms and, let's say, accommodation opportunities. In Rome, we have a huge library, for example, about 400 seats. And it's a 2,000 plus square meters. It's really, really huge. The quality of the education we offer in both Rome and Bolzano is the same, I would say, because the Faculty of Medicine and Surgery, top 200 globally, is in charge of delivering the programs both in Rome and in Bolzano. The main difference, a very practical one, is the application procedure, because while now applications for medicine and surgery Rome are open already, we opened them last October, we closed them in February, the test will be in March. In Bolzano, we are waiting until mid-January to open the application. So we first open the applications for medicine and surgery Rome, so the students can take the entrance exam in March, mid-March, while we wait until January, at least for now, for this year specifically. Mid-January, we open the applications for Bolzano. The students will take the test in May, which means that for Rome, they can get a feedback quite soon in April, depending on the position in the final ranking, the result of the entrance test, while for Bolzano, they will need to wait until May. Another main difference is not the language of instruction, okay? Because language of instruction is the same. It is English, both in Rome and in Bolzano. At the end of the day, true, the students will take the clinical residency in Italy, but while the patients in Rome will be speaking Italian, the patients in Bolzano will be speaking both Italian and German. And that's a main difference in the two curriculum, I would say, the most important one. For Rome, we teach Italian language to students in the first, second, and third year, while for Bolzano students, they will be learning both Italian and German, because the patients might feel more comfortable speaking German rather than Italian, because Bolzano has a very peculiar position in Italy that's located really close to the Austrian border. So patients might want to speak German and not Italian with the students. And another thing that I wanted to tell you is that also in terms of number of seats available. So in Rome, we offer 70 seats to non-EU passport holders and 40 to EU passport holders. So the majority of the class will consist of non-European passport holders, while in Bolzano we only have 10 seats available for non-EU students and 50 seats available for European Union students. So that's one of also the main difference between the two programs, Bolzano and Rome. But again, the quality of the program is exactly the same.
Understood, understood. I'm sure as long as the university is teaching the language, students would be okay to take up the course at Bolzano as well. This brings me to the same question. Do students require to have Italian language or German language prerequisite for the application purpose, or they will be taught at the university? And how important is to learn both the languages while they are in Italy?
So no, it's not a prerequisite for the students to know any Italian or German before they apply. As a matter of fact, they do not even need to have an English language proficiency when they apply for the entrance exam, in the sense that they can take the entrance exam and then provide us, if it is required, because English was not the medium of instruction, with an English test certificate. But no, they don't need to know any Italian or German before they apply for any of our programs, because we will teach them Italian when it comes to Rome, and Italian and German for those enrolled in the Bolzano program, starting from the first year. There is an Italian and a German exam at year one, a couple of exams during the second year, and another exam during the third year. So they are ready to interact with patients starting from year number 4. Because as we were saying, they will need to, take the medical history of the patient, be able to communicate. And that's really important, because the patients, they will feel at ease when talking to someone who's able to speak the language, understand, yes, the clinical situation of the patient itself, but also from a human perspective. That's really important for doctors to be able to, that's important in modern medicine, I would say. It's not just about being able to understand the clinical situation of someone, but also show that there's a human aspect, that you know how to communicate with them. So we'll make sure that they can do that starting from the 4th year at Cattolica.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So, students, please be rest assured you don't have to learn any language before you reach Rome. But it's always good to pick up some words here and there that would be really helpful when you are at the campus, around the campus. Anyway, moving on, if you could, let us know about the curriculum at Cattolica University. How is it different from other European universities, and what is the uniqueness of the course that stands out in Italy or in Europe for students?
Yeah, a couple of points we just mentioned. I will link to them. Well, the language, we said it's fully taught in English, so you do not have to expect any course to be taught in Italian. And sometimes it happens. You enroll in an English taught program, and then you discover that there is maybe even one single course which is not taught in English, and that's a problem. That's not the case for Cattolica. Even if, Ria, I want to stress what you just said, even if it's not mandatory to speak the language, that will help you big time if you learn the basic of Italian, especially, maybe not German, not necessary, before even leaving for the country. I'm talking to basic survival level. Okay, so you can buy an ice cream or a pizza if you travel around Rome or Bolzano. A very important feature, I always say, is that we go beyond the traditional medical sciences, as we try to incorporate courses in like bioethics, medical anthropology, but also legal responsibilities within the curriculum, which is based on the Anglo-Saxon model and not on the Italian model. But we do incorporate these programs because we understand how important it is, the critical thinking, the critical sensibility. Sorry, that's a mistake, because in Italian we would say sensibility instead of sensitivity into the modern medical practice. And I believe that the fact that students have access to our Policlinico Gemelli University Hospital and the Claudiana Center, right, starting from the first year, basically at Cattolica, makes a huge difference. And that's the biggest advantage compared to other programs, because it means that the students can do clinical rotations and internships and learn about internal medicine, general surgery, pediatrics, obstetrics. That's part of the program. They do that. It's mandatory to do that. Yes. and they can use the facilities of Policlinico Gemelli. So we have the simulation center. I have to admit, I've never seen that, but I know that at the simulation center, we have this super ultra sophisticated mannequins and softwares. So we can actually, how to say, simulate
Right.
surgeries, for example. We tend not to use cadavers, but we have this extra sophisticated network so the students can actually know how it is to work in an ER, how to operate the tracheotomy, for example. They really use it, especially
Yeah.
starting from the fourth year.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
sorry.
Yeah. Understood. Absolutely. So exciting, very exciting to know that there are stimulation centers and hospital is so well connected that students will get hands-on practice while they are at the university. So if you could also let us know about how the students are evaluated throughout the program, starting from first year onwards. Are there semester exams, or how many reattempts are there for the students if they are unable to cope up with the curriculum? Because we see that the students are going from a very grassroots level, which is just high school. Their knowledge of biology and chemistry from there to directly into medical school, it might be difficult for them to cope up. So how is the university supporting the students in the transition from a high school level to the first year, and how are the exams evaluated during the curriculum?
Well, first, a piece of info which I think is a pro and a cons when it comes to Italian universities in general, not just at Cattolica. I would say you can keep on repeating the exams as many times as you want. You have infinite attempts, yes, which is good in the sense that if you're not satisfied with a grade, you can repeat that. But at the same time, especially for medicine and surgery, which is itself a 6 years program, that can become endless. So my point is, be aware that time management will be important. You'll have the academic year will be divided into 2 semesters. You will have exam sessions in February, one over the summer, so between June and July, one in September, one in December. You can basically decide to take the exams whenever you want. You can skip the February session and do the exams in June, July, for example, but you need to pass especially the propedeutic exams because, for example, if you want to do biology set 2, I'm just taking one exam as an example, you need to have passed biology 1. Okay, so there is this possibility for you to keep on retaking the exams. Attendance is basically mandatory, Ria, in the sense that there's a system, a sort of check-in electronic system. So the attendance of students will be recorded by professors. Minimum 65% is mandatory. And if it's not a 65% attendance, the students before taking the exam will be required to take extra classes and study extra materials that will depend on the professor and on the course. And if the attendance rate is below 40, the students will not even be able to take the exam. Okay, they will have to repeat to retake classes during the next academic year, because in many cases we're talking about annual exams, and then take the exam. So again, time management is really, really crucial. You are not alone. This is good news in the sense that you have professors, you have your classmates, but the students also can count on group tutors. So we have tutors. They are selected by the faculty, by a really dedicated committee, and they will support the students for their academic life, let's say, but also from an administrative perspective to help them understanding how to build up the course plan, how to understand the classes agenda. Usually you get your your classes agenda before the beginning of the semester, but the group tutors will help the students with that. They will not be my age. They will be under 30 for sure, because that's mandatory. And they will be selected among students of the fourth, fifth, sixth year, and I believe also fresh graduated students. And it's mandatory that they have taken themselves the same courses, programs that our students are taking out Cattolica, because there must be this, match between tutors and students. So we really do our best to support them. And I think we are doing quite well, in the sense that the dropout rate at Cattolica is really, really low. And you can see this, for example, by just looking at the opening positions, opening seats that we have for transfer students at the second and third year. And I'm talking about units. Last year, I believe we only had a couple of seats for third year students. Same a couple of years ago, not even one seat for second year student. That means that the students stay, they get into the program. The selection is tough. There's the entrance exam, but they stay with us until the last year. And I think this is also thanks to the dedicated attention of the professors, thanks to the international office, and thanks to the tutors. So even if it's going to be new for you, don't be worried, because you're going to have a small class, a lot of attention from the faculty and the tutors as well.
Absolutely. I'm sure that is reassuring for students as well as their parents, because it's a very lengthy program. A lot is invested by the parents as well. So to know that the students are going to finish the program will make them at ease. Additionally, I would want to understand if there are any global partnerships or exchange programs that allow students to gain international exposures or collaborate with other institutes just to gain some additional knowledge or experience.
We do. We're really, really active on that. And I believe that we was also ranked, as we always talk about rankings, like top one in Italy when it comes to outbound opportunities for Cattolica students. We push them to go abroad. It can be, a summer program. You can do that at Padua University. It can be a semester abroad. It can be the writing of the final thesis abroad, a double degree. We push the students to do that. We have an outbound team in Rome, specifically not in Bolzano, but we do have it in Rome, and they're basically specialized in all the opportunities for our medicine and surgery students. The students can decide to do the clinical electives abroad, to do their internship abroad, to spend one semester abroad at any of our partner universities. And I believe we have more than 20 for medicine and surgery specifically. They can write the final dissertation abroad if they want the final thesis, which is also part of the course curriculum. It can be the semester abroad on exchange, on fee paying. That will depend on the GPA of the student, on the procedure of the partner university. We have partners in Europe, outside of Europe, in the States, in the Middle East, in the Far East Asia. We have a double degree with Thomas Jefferson University. So basically, students spend part of the program at Cattolica, part of the program at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia at Sidney Kinnell College, and they will get two MD degree, one from Cattolica and one from Thomas Jefferson. So really what the students have to do is to get in touch with the outbound team of the international office, and my colleagues will introduce themselves on the welcome day at Cattolica, and understand directly from them when is the best moment to go abroad, when they should start submitting the application, how many credits they should get if they want to apply for that specific program they're interested in. My suggestion would be to stay at Cattolica for the first year at least, so you adjust a little bit to the new program, to the new lifestyle, and then starting the second year, you can decide what you want to do in terms of study abroad opportunities.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. It's very important for them because they have coming from home. They have not really stayed outside. So when they come into a new country, they should definitely spend some time and then look for other opportunities. You mentioned about the Thomas Jefferson collaboration. If you could, elaborate a bit, does the student get this opportunity to switch from Cattolica to USA, and a bit on requirements. You mentioned that there would be team to guide, but I'm sure students would be curious to know
Sure, sure.
details.
It's still an interesting program. Too bad, basically, when we started a few years ago, the pandemic hit the world. So the majority of our students had to stop at that time, but the program is still on. So we used to call it a triple degree program. Right now, it's basically a double degree. Double degree means that by the end of the MD program, they will get two MD degrees, medical degree from Cattolica and the medical degree from Thomas Jefferson in the United States. And many of them would want to practice there and become doctors in the United States they want to do that. It's a very selective program. We only have a few seats available every year. I believe last year was about six maximum. Still, there is the opportunity to go to Thomas Jefferson University for the summer program. And hopefully that will be restored in presence because it had to be online until a couple of years ago. So the students will spend year 1, 2, and 3 at Cattolica, studying the traditional curriculum, applying for the program, being selected for the program, spending the summer program with Thomas Jefferson so they can get started with the courses provided by Thomas Jefferson University. And the last 3 years plus, they will University of Philadelphia. Application, if I'm not mistaken, they are submitted in March. So my suggestion would be to start immediately understanding what is the GPA they need to have. If there is a specific course that has to be taken before they apply for the program, understand if they need to take any specific English language certificate, because that might be the case, as that's an American university, and understand a little bit more about the tuition fees as well, because for sure they will need to pay the tuition fees at Cattolica, but also Thomas Jefferson University will have a different tuition fees being an American university. It's an incredible opportunity, and I know that it's really juicy for a lot of students. It's very selective though. So I'm doing expectation management here. I'm not discouraging anyone from applying for this specific program. Just be ready to stay at Cattolica for 6 years and maybe go abroad for 1 semester, 1 summer program, because not all the applications can get through. Not all the 100 students plus we have in class can go to Thomas Jefferson University. Consider that as a plus and not as the main reason for you to choose Cattolica, please. And I promise that anyway, life in Rome will be amazing, and that Cattolica and Gemelli Hospital anyway.
Absolutely. So students have understood this, I'm sure. If you could also brief us about clinical training facilities at Cattolica, when exactly students start for clinical rotations, visiting hospitals, introducing themselves with patients. When is the process and how does it goes through?
There is a huge moment, amazing moment between the 3rd and the 4th year. We call it the white coat ceremony. So the students actually become doctoral. You can see pictures online and on our Instagram. So the first 3, we just said that Cattolica campus, especially in Rome, is huge, right? So the first 3 years, they are considered I would say more academic and laboratory based here. So the students will be in class, they will be in laboratories, they will be studying at what we call Istituti Biologici building with professors. The first, let's say, the first semester of the 3rd year is considered already preclinical. And then during the 2nd semester, but during the 3rd year in general, the students will take a course named Introduction to Clinical Medicine, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a 13 credits course. And then starting from year number 4 and 3 and 5 and 6, they will physically move to the hospital. So they will take classes within the hospital. They will take clinical residency internships in internal medicine, in internal surgery, general surgery, pediatrics, obstetrics, and gynecology. And they will basically do these rotations so that they can visit all the units of the Policlinico Gemelli University Hospital. And trust me, Policlinico Gemelli has all the units the students might be interested in. And that's one of the selection criteria for many students. I remember years ago, I was talking to a student from Japan, from Tokyo. She's half Italian and half Japanese. She was unsure about which university she wanted to select in Italy or in Europe. And at the end of the day, she decided, and she ended up studying at Cattolica because she wanted to practice in pediatrics, and that was one of the units and the possibilities of residency offered by Policlinico Gemelli and by Universita Cattolica del Sacro Cuore. So that's one of the main reasons for the students to do that. They will be divided in groups. They will do their clinical blocks at the hospital. They will be followed by a tutor. There will be a professor with them. But by the end of the 6 years, they will have taken all the necessary internships and clinical residency to really become a doctor, a medical doctor.
Sounds interesting, very exciting. To summarize, there are clinics, there are hospitals, students, and there are teachers, faculty, doctors there to help them, guide them, starting from third year onwards until 6th year. A lot of practice would be given to the students in different areas. Exciting, very exciting. Now, to get into this beautiful life, what all are the admission requirements for international students? Are they same for EU students, or there is any difference in terms of admission requirements?
I would say the requirements are quite simple and straightforward in the sense that the real filter is the entrance exam. In terms of requirements, students must be enrolled in their senior year, last year of high school, or already, possess a high school diploma. That's the only requirement, I would say. Then, of course, and I know that Gambari helps the students a lot with that, if that specific diploma has extra requirements to be eligible to enter any university in Italy, well, you need to respect that. I'm just giving you a couple of examples. If we have students with an American high school diploma, for example, they must know that on top of the high school diploma from the States, they would need to have 3 APs. For students having a British high school diploma, they would need to have 3 A levels. If you are enrolled in an international baccalaureate school, well, we do not accept certificates. You will need to have, by the end of the year, by July, your IB full diploma. So that's what we need. We don't really look into your GPA. We don't really look into the courses, the subjects you have studied at high school level, because the real filter is the entrance exam. If you want to enter in the Rome Medicine and Surgery program or in the Bolzano Medicine and Surgery program, you need to pass an entrance exam, and students also need to perform well with the entrance exam. It's not just enough to pass, but you have to get a good ranking. Maybe, we'll cover this later. But I would say this is the main obstacle and the main filter for them. They should submit their application, practice using our online simulator, because we have an online simulator the students can use to practice for the entrance exam, download materials from the internet so they can get ready, pass the entrance exam, get a good score, and get a good position in the final ranking of this entrance exam.
Absolutely. So quite straightforward in terms of academics. If you could also elaborate on the entrance exam, what are the subjects, what are the requirements, how long is exam, and what is the pattern of entrance exam? A lot of questions, but how are the scorings? What are the minimum score a student needs to achieve, and what is that one thing that university looks into when they are shortlisting the students after the exam?
Yeah, you're right. Because I was also thinking that, yes, we do not look into the academics of the students, but there are topics which are quite important within the entrance exam, and I'll cover this now. So it's a 65 multiple choice question test, okay, baseline. All the students will take this online. Until last year, students having the EU pool had to take the test in presence into test centers. But starting from this year, both the non-EU and the EU students will take the test online with a proctoring system. For Rome, it's guaranteed. It's already there. For Bolzano, we believe it's going to be the same. Hopefully, you students will not need to go to any test center. The test is going to be the same anyway. 65 multiple choice questions. It's going to be 20 about logic, visual space reasoning, a bit of reading comprehension. 18 questions on biology, 12 questions on chemistry. You have 5 questions on like ethical culture. You have 4 questions on mathematics and 4 on physics, I believe. So 65 in 2 questions on general knowledge. 65 questions in total, 65 minutes to complete the test, which is, that's why the simulator is important, because you need to be fast. You have on average 1 minute per question. You might be super fast with some of the questions, really slow with others. Timing is crucial. Minimum passing score is 20 out of 65. And then there will be a ranking though, because we said we accept 70 non-EU students from Medicine Rome, 40 EU students for Bolzano is 10 non-EU and 50 EU. So of course you need to be ranked in a decent position to be called and to receive admissions. But in terms of preparation, I was thinking that it's true. We do not look into your academics, but of course, if you have studied, let's say, chemistry and biology at high school, that will help you big time, because the questions of chemistry and biology themselves, they cover 30 questions out of 65 within the entrance exam. According to what our current students are telling us, what you want to do is to check the subjects, the topics that will be part of the entrance exam using the materials you can find online on the university website. And together with the online simulator, that should be enough for you to pass the test and to understand how it is organized, and possibly to get a good score also in the ranking. But you need to practice and don't waste time. If you feel like it's time for you to apply, really, honest suggestion, submit the application as soon as you can, because only then you have access to the online simulator. And each question, so 65 questions we said, for each correct answer, you'll get 1 point. For each wrong answer, you'll get a minus 0.25, and no answer is 0 points. It's brutal. It's really brutal, but that's how we evaluate our students' applications, yes, through the test.
So students, please take a note, start preparing for these entrance exam. It's very important to practice. Miss Ariana have been saying this, that even after you enroll, time management is important. But before you enroll, even for entrance exam, time management is very, very crucial. So, and I know you mentioned that high school grades are not really looked upon. But say, for example, if the student passes the entrance exam, but he is unable to meet a very high score or meet his predicted scores predicted scores that he is supposed to achieve, is there any of is his admission anyway affected because of this? Is admission revoked, or any in any way his admission decision is affected because of his high school scores?
General answer here would be no, in the sense that being the entrance exam the main filter, that's not the case for other programs, okay? That's not the case for other programs, but this is for medicine specifically. The only case I see an offer being revoked, a conditional offer being revoked, is when the student does not get, for example, the full IB diploma, if they are enrolled in an IB school, if the student doesn't obtain American high school diploma and 3 APs, or British high school diploma and 3 A levels. But no, we don't really look into the GPA. We don't care much about the predicted grades. It's all about the entrance exam. In the last years, the only conditional offers I saw being revoked are those of students who didn't get the full IB diploma, I have to say. In all the other cases, as soon as the students get final diploma plus, when necessary, 3 APs or 3 A levels, they send them to the university, international admissions team, or they let us check the final results within the IB board system, and they get the final offer. So from this perspective, I will reassure the students that after the entrance exam, you just need to focus on get your final diploma. And if required, the English language certificate, which is going to be anyway an IELTS. In your case, I would say the majority of the students who will probably listen to our podcast, they will not even need to do that because they will be, studying in English. But anyway, it's going to be an IELTS 6.0, which is not much. It's just the minimum requirement to be able to speak and understand when professors, teach in English.
Perfect, perfect. So, students, it's really important to complete your grade 12th as well as exam, not just any one. It has to be both. Moving on, I'm sure a lot of parents who are listening to this podcast would want to know that since you're giving so much facility at on campus hospitals and clubs and everything, what is the tuition fees, and are there flexible payment options available for students?
It's a flat tuition for everyone, despite the passport, the residency. You can be, they will pay a tuition fee of 18,000 euros per year. That's the tuition of intake 2024. That might be slightly higher next year. We'll know in the spring, but I'm talking about really minor changes, which is, it's the most, let's say, it's considered the most expensive program within the Cattolica system, but it's medicine and surgery. So that's the case everywhere. And it's affordable compared to other private universities in Italy offering medicine and surgery in Europe. Well, not even mentioning the States, or the UK, but that's another story. And I'm proud of saying that we try to give access to as many students as possible to the university, keeping the tuition fees as low as possible. But we need also to be able to provide services, as you said, and facilities to the students. So it's 18,000 euros per year. There will be a 4,000 euros deposit that students and families will need to pay if they receive an offer and they wish to reserve the seat at Cattolica. And then the tuition fee will be divided into installments. It's usually between 3 and 5 extra installments on top of the deposit during the year. So it's not, let's say, one shot. It's not even possible to do that one shot.
Understood. And are there any scholarship opportunities for our students?
Not provided by the university in the sense that this is the full tuition. The region, the Italian state, provides merit and need-based scholarships to students, but again, they will be also need-based. It means that they are not guaranteed. The students, the families will need to provide documents showing what's the family income, not the student's income. It's usually the family income. If you have siblings, you have more than one kid working and living with you at home, also the income will be counted. If you have properties, so they are need-based and merit-based, because the students will also need to collect a certain number of grades during the first, second, fourth, until the 6th year to be able to get the scholarships. We try not to stress that this possibility is there, because we know it's extremely hard for the students to get the scholarships, especially because they are income-based. And if families can prove that they have enough possibilities to be able to pay 18,000 euros tuition fees per year, that will be hard to be considered eligible for a need-based scholarship. So my point is, be ready for the worst case scenario, let's say, which is to pay the full tuition, 18,000 euros. And for the cost of life in Rome, I can mention this, it's going to be about 15,000 euros per year, including food, accommodation, public transportation, books, and, let's say, leisure activities, depending on what the students want to do during their free time.
Absolutely understood, ma'am. So now that I'm thinking that our students have joined the university, what are other challenges that students face? So one important challenge that I know about is visas. Are there any typical mistakes that they should avoid making while they're preparing for their visas? How early they should start, and what are the tips and tricks they should keep in mind while they're processing their visas?
Touching wood, with medicine and surgery students, the process is usually smooth, independently from the country they come from, whether they come from GCC region, United Arab Emirates, or India. The process is usually smooth. Um, the timing is the main obstacle. Sometimes it's because of the students being, late with the procedures, not reading carefully the emails we send. So thank you, Rian, to your team for the support you give the students and you give the university on that. And sometimes because some embassies might be faster, some other embassies might be slower with the visa procedures. So the suggestion is always, and this is so true, and please listen to these words. As soon as you get an offer, you decide to accept the offer, you pay the deposit, please be on track. We'll be sending you information on how to pre-enroll on Universita, which is a portal that connects the university, the embassy or the consulate in your country, and you. Okay, as soon as you have submitted the pre-enrollment, follow our guidelines. Talk to the embassy, talk to the consulate. They always have guidelines and the list of documents you need to collect and submit in order to receive your study visa. Okay, read our emails, read the guidelines on the embassy and consulate websites, collect the documents exactly as they are required and as it outlined on the websites, and submit the application as soon as possible. Sometimes it takes time to book a slot because there are many students booking slots to apply for a visa because they want to study in Italy, not just at Cattolica, but also other Italian universities. That's why you don't have to waste time, especially if you receive an early offer. Do not waste time. There will be two colleagues of mine, Roberta and Manuel. They will be your guardian angels. After you have submitted your application, you will receive emails from Roberta and Manuel. Follow their instructions. So I would say, talking about obstacles, Ria, being very straightforward, the timing might be the biggest obstacle. For the rest, not much, I have to say. I got a few students to talk to a few students from India last year. They didn't really have like a first name and a last name on passport. They had, let's say, one single name, first name and last name. That will be required for you to have a name identified as first name and a name identified as last name on your documents here in Italy. So my suggestion would be to start thinking about getting a renewal of the documents, because in Italy, long story short, to have a fiscal code, to be able to open a bank account, to be able to do a lot of stuff, you need to have a first name and a last name. So Gambari, I believe you'll be able to support the students with this part of the process. That was an obstacle they faced last year with a few students from India. Ria, I'm not sure you have suggestions on this because it's very peculiar of the region.
Yes, absolutely. From our experience as well, a lot of times students are not reading emails. They're not following the instructions. Everything is like one, two, three, but they would see one, they would see four, and they'll panic. Oh my God, what to do? So please read emails very carefully before you move ahead with the process. It's very, very important. Everything is there in the instructions, emails, embassy websites. You just have to read very carefully, stick to the instructions, don't deviate from what is written, and I think it should be a peaceful process for you.
And don't panic, because sometimes it happens. We're in the office and we receive, I guess the same for you, multiple calls like every minute. We really need time. We receive hundreds of emails and calls every day. I promise we'll take care of all your queries always. Sometimes we just need time. So if we tell you we're on that, I promise we are. Okay. And when it's necessary, we're also ready to talk to consulates and embassies, send them emails. We have good connections with them. Just trust the process and trust the university and trust the counselors at Gambari because we know what we're doing.
Right. Absolutely. So once the visa is done, the next step is, of course, accommodation. Is university providing on-campus accommodation or off-campus options to the students? What are the typical preference of international students or international community at the university?
It's actually something they should take care before they submit the visa application because they need to show that they have an accommodation in Italy. But this being said, yes, we do support the students with accommodation options through Educat. Educat is it's a non-for-profit organization that supports Cattolica, supporting students with accommodation options, scholarships, funds, school canteens, and so on and so forth. So I was saying that, yes, usually we open the applications for accommodation options around May, June. Last year, I think it was June, the year before it was May. So the students who already have paid a deposit can submit an application for the accommodation option they prefer. It's not, let's say, guaranteed. I cannot say now that it is guaranteed that Educat or the university will find an accommodation for you. But yes, we do have options. So my suggestion is start looking into these options, and when Educat will open the applications for this few accommodation options we have, you submit your application. Okay, so this is something we do, and if the accommodation provided by Educat is not in line with your requirements, if you wish to find something different, if you did not make it on time to get an accommodation from Educat, there are other options. There's a list of providers we work with on the university website, and you can start looking for the accommodation also through those websites. But Educat will be the option one. Even if I have to highlight this, it's not 100% guaranteed. Still, we try, especially when it comes to non-EU students, we try to accommodate their necessities because we know that it is essential then when it comes to visa application procedures.
Absolutely. So we can consider it's more like first come, first serve basis, and students should immediately start the process as soon as they have received the offer. So moving on from the academics, I have few questions about once the students have graduated or they're about to graduate, how does the university prepares the students to, students for licensure exams to practice medicine in various countries?
Important for the students to know that the university, and this is also expectation management, does not prepare for specific licensing exams, sorry. So let's say you want to practice in France, you need to check with the French Ministry of Education and I guess Ministry of Healthcare what are the requirements for you to work as a doctor in France. The same would be if you want to practice in the UK. The same would be if you want to practice in India, because the university offers you an international curriculum which you can spend in Europe, back to your home country in the United States, but you will need to take the licensing examination in those countries, and you will need to prepare for those licensing examinations. I can tell you, for example, that our curriculum is quite in line with the preparation for the USMLE, the United States Medical Licensing Examination. Our students take the IFOM at the end of the 4th year, if I'm not mistaken, so that should be quite easy for them to take that exam. But I'm not saying that the curriculum itself is preparatory for the USMLE or we offer any prep course for any licensing exam. That's not the case. So it's important for the students to be ready to know in advance that they also need to check what are the procedures if they own country when they come back with a European degree, if they want to practice in the country of origin. I stressed European degree and not Italian degree because you will get 360 ECTS at the end of the 6th year. ECTS stands for European credits, not Italian credits. So that's a European degree, which is valid worldwide, basically. It's not just an Italian one. But we do not prepare them for the licensing examination. If they want to practice in Italy, they can do that. But the majority of the medical school in Italy offer specializing courses which are taught in Italian. I would say the majority of them. So my suggestion would be for the students to be ready to keep on studying in Italian if they decide to study in Italy. As far as I know, the majority of them, they want to go abroad. They want to stay in Europe, in other countries, back to their home country, to English-speaking countries. If you want to stay in Italy, you can definitely do that, of course. But you should be ready to keep on studying the language.
Is it the same case with Cattolica? Can students continue to do their specialization in Cattolica? And is it in Italian language or it's in English language?
As far as I know, the majority is in Italian, and you would need to take a test, an entrance exam. That would be basically everywhere. If you want to get into specialization school, you need to take an entrance exam to get into the school, which is quite hard, not impossible. You'll be doctors. I mean, it's hard career, very hard path, but you will need to be ready to take another exam. Not easier, not for Italian students, not just for international, not even for the Italian students.
Absolutely, I agree with you. If they have completed 6 years of study, they can do further studies as well. It's doable.
Yeah, there's just
so
another talk I want to share with you, and I think I shared this during a webinar with Yamri in the past as well, because I was participating in one of your tours, and I met with a student. I do not remember if he was a female student or male student, but she wanted to study medicine and surgery, ready to take the entrance exam, ready to study for 6 years and thus specializing, and she was super worried about the Italian language, and I thought, that's nothing. If you're ready to study, one life, medicine and surgery, that should be just the cherry on top, like a small part of what you have to do. Do not be worried about that. Just be ready, but not worried.
absolutely. And you have professors, you have team who is there to help you, support you. So don't worry about learning a language. Look it as a challenge, and I'm sure you'll be able to do it. Coming to the end of this podcast, what would you like to? What would be your tip or motivation to our students who are preparing for Cattolica entrance exam for March, who have already decided, excited to be in Rome or in Bolzano? What would you like to? Your last message for them.
Study a lot for the entrance exam. Be ready to study for 6 years if you get into the program, but be also ready to enjoy your life in Rome. I'm always genuinely happy, Ria, when I get to talk about medicine and surgery programs, because the students are happy. When we meet with them, you can tell that they are very committed, but very happy as well. So that's my suggestion for you. Be ready to study a lot, but be also ready to enjoy what Rome, what Bolzano has to offer, because you will be in an incredibly rich cultural environment with amazing professors, amazing classmates. Don't be shy. You always have breaks between classes. You always have the chance to interact with your classmates. It's going to be an incredibly international class. You'll have really students representing every country in the world. Be ready to interact with them, because they will be your network during your study path, but also after graduation. Be ready not to be spoon-fed. This is also a suggestion. Italy is not the States, for example. You will not be spoon-fed while on campus. You'll have the tutor, you'll have Educart, you'll have my colleagues on campus, but keep your eyes, your ears, and your mind open to understand what are the opportunities that university will offer to you. You'll be sharing the same space with medical doctors. When you get into the school canteen in Rome, you literally see doctors with the work coat having lunch with students. That's the kind of environment which is awaiting for you. If you really need support, we're always there to help. So be brave, but we also be ready to have fun and enjoy the life in Rome and in Bolzano.